Of all the things I've covered in my videos about the Pokemon universe, I really love exploring the Pokemon manga. They're some of the least known Pokemon media, but often contain some of the most extreme, most emotional, and most bizarre information ever presented in the franchise. But today, we're gonna dig even deeper, to a manga series I guarantee most of you have never read. Pokemon RéBurst. Or is it RéBurst? I don't know, they did the E accent thing again, so it's probably RéBurst, but I'm just gonna stick with RéBurst because that's all I've ever heard it called. The 5th generation of Pokemon brought a ton of change. It had 156 Pokemon, making it the largest new generation of all time. It brought a darker, more serious story that examined the ethics of Pokemon capture. And it brought a brand new Pokemon manga, advertised as a new Pokemon series aimed toward an older audience, published in the same magazine as Detective Conan and Inuyasha. There was a good amount of hype for this, especially between my friends and I. We were 20 and older at this point, and while we still loved the Pokemon franchise to its core, a Pokemon product that was made for our demographic seemed like a refreshing idea. Then, a couple of months later, the manga came out. I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown on how most reacted to it. Alright, we've got a loudmouth protagonist trying to find his lost father. Like 2 pages in. We've already got ourselves a missing father as a significant plot point. Take that, Ash! Secret agent girl? Seems interesting. Oh, well, there's a Pokeball! Oh, no Pokemon yet. Just a dude carrying a mountain. How is he doing that? Finally, there's a Pokemon! Somebody save the Lillipups! High jump kick! Yes! Oh wait, that was just the protagonist. Mega punch! Oh, that was also just the protagonist. It seems like there's a whole lot of battling here, but not a whole lot of Pokemon. Alright, how on earth is he gonna fight this man with a Buster Sword-sized electric mace? Can't punch that. It's time to bust out Dad's secret weapon. Wait, that's not a Pokeball? That's literally what she's saying in this bubble. Even the agent is wondering why we don't have Pokemon yet. Oh, I guess it's a stone that he can use to... Oh. Oh! No! I've seen this twist before. To the shock of everyone, it turns out that RéBurst was a manga all about anthropomorphism. I guess the Japanese term for this is jijinka, or humanization? I don't know. However you want to label this, it's all about Pokemon plus person equals a fusion summon. Instead of traditional Pokemon-based combat, which apparently still exists in the RéBurst universe, it's all about Pokemon-human fusions through stones called Burst Hearts. While this manga saw moderate success in Japan, running for 8 volumes and about 80 chapters, English interest in the work seemed to disappear almost immediately. We got so hyped on the idea of an adult Pokemon universe that when the final product was something drastically different, fans abandoned it pretty quickly. Typically, when there's a product that's only available in Japan, there's somebody out there who will translate it into their language. And while my stance on this is to typically support the original product whenever you can regardless, I'm usually all for fan translations when the product never sees a release in your language. See, for example, Mother 3. Pokemon RéBurst did not get an English release, but it also never got a complete English translation even. As much digging as I've done, I could barely find unofficial English translations beyond the first 10 chapters, or around 1/8 of the full story. I can't even find original Japanese scans of the full story, and the original comics website doesn't even list RéBurst's page anymore. I'll admit, I'm not a fan of the jijinka thing, but there's a huge subculture on the internet that's crazy for it. Were there really just never enough dedicated fans to translate the rest of the story? In what is likely the weebest thing I've ever done, I decided to order the Japanese series on Amazon, and with the help of a few Japanese friends, get a summarized version of the rest of the chapters. Long story short, you guys aren't missing much. It's not horrible, it's just extremely generic shonen manga with very little to stand out as special. Over the first few volumes, we see the main protagonist crew assemble. Ryuga, whose main ability is being really enthusiastic and never giving up. Also passing out every time he finishes a battle. Miruto, the secret agent who's literally useless. She owns a Mandibuzz, asks to use it once, but is told no because it's too dangerous. Yappy, the tiny comic relief character who, despite looking like a Pansage, has no abilities. He He works with Maruto as part-time cheerleader and part-time kidnap fodder. Hariru, the androgynous bad boy who actually has a heart deep down. Kirola, the token mini-moe who eats a lot. Oh, because she turns into a pig. That's a good one. Rug, the Catwoman. She is a cat that steals things. Like Catwoman. And Karuta, aka Naruto. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole team. And I hate them. I hate them all! Speaking of Naruto, you'll notice a lot of similarities, like the multi-stage tournament arc that plays just like the Chunin exam, or the main enemy, Fraud, who uses powers to give himself eternal youth. One of the big reasons people were interested in this series was the potential for a mature Pokémon story, taking the core elements of Pokémon and shaping them in a way that shares more adult and more powerful tales. Instead, we get fan service. Lots and lots and lots of fan service. If you're a female character, except for maybe like the one 10-year-old over here, you're getting fan service. And yeah, this does run the male direction too occasionally, if that's your taste, but there's a clear favoritism for fan service marketed to straight, male teenage boys. It just comes across as cheap and pandering to me, but that's just my opinion. You know what could be a cool, new, mature thing for Pokémon though? How about a deep emotional moment, or unique character development? And you know what? We almost get there at one point. During the main tournament arc, we have Karuta fighting in hopes that the prize money can get a medicine for his sick village. He's devastated at his defeat, but with the help of Ryuga, they're able to buy his medicine and bring it back to the village. Only there does he discover he was too late, and his mother died while he was searching for a cure. There's a touching moment where we examine his backstory, about how he always felt he could never measure up to his strong father. Then, in perhaps the most ridiculous thing to happen in the entire story, he grows up overnight. What? Do you even lift, bro? Doctors hate him. Well, I guess that is one way to make your character grow. I guess the humans evolve in this manga as well. Okay. I know, I'm nitpicking. And as a whole, shonen manga is pretty much just the main hero kicking the crap out of bigger and better bad guys, which overall this manga does do. Some of the battle designs are admittedly pretty cool, and it is neat that they included the original Pokémon elemental differences, such as RéBurst characters being immune to psychic attacks. I'd say the manga's greatest weakness, though, is that it set out to be a combination of Pokémon and shonen manga, but instead of this dream combination, we get a watered-down version on both sides. On the Pokémon end, there's the obvious. I just don't think many core fans were very big on the fusion aspect. But there's also all these big questions that they could have explored. In this manga, we have traditional Pokémon and burst stones all in the same universe. Are there any ethical issues here? Why are regular Pokeball Pokémon rarely used to help fight these evil burst users? In the 5th generation, ironically the setting for this manga, the big question is whether or not humans are abusing Pokémon as tools. But in RéBurst, they are literally just tools. On the shonen side, it's like we've mentioned, it's just a little bland. There's the one, I want to rule the world main villain with a few token mini-bosses, and it's all generic good versus evil. If you like senseless action, then this does provide it, but there's just so much shonen manga out there that provides the same thing that I would read first instead. Unfortunately, Pokémon RéBurst wasn't this incredible hidden gem that I thought it could potentially be. But I do think I at least uncovered some of the reasons why you don't see a fan translation of it today. At the very least, hopefully you learned a fact about Pokémon that you never knew before, which is the main reason I do these silly fact videos in the first place. If Pokémon ever does decide to tackle an older audience again, hopefully they'll evaluate some of the places RéBurst has struggled. Until then though, thanks for watching today's Pokémon fact video. If you want to see some other videos I've done that have tackled various other Pokémon manga, you can check them out right here. And if you want to be there right when new videos come out, consider clicking the subscribe button to follow the channel. I'll see you guys next time with more Nintendo content.